Anyone who has followed me for some time knows I have a real beef with mediums, psychics and New Age healers, etc. Mainly because the majority of them are pure fake and only interested in preying on the vulnerable for financial gain. I know this because I used to be heavily involved in the murky world of spirituality. I found this next story interesting, and honestly I'm surprised that more people in this business haven't got into hot water for their unorthodox practices, but I guess when something is unregulated it's not as easy to prove broken standards. James Arthur Ray went a step too far though, which resulted in the death of 3 participants in one of his New Age workshops. He was a former telemarketer who did a voiceover on the DVD for The Secret. It was in this way he began to build up a following for his New Age hocus pocus self-help programs. People associated him with The Secret, which was hugely successful, but his programs didn't exactly follow the format of The Secret. He put his own more profitable spin on it. It was a method of achieving your life goals through the power of positive thinking and the law of attraction. Absolutely nothing wrong with it at all and beneficial for a healthy mind. The principles are based on the spellcasting and witchcraft, believe it or not. Contrary to how it's portrayed, spellcasting is mostly visualizing what you want, putting that intention out to the universal energy, which is pretty much exactly what The Secret tells you to do. In witchcraft, gods or goddesses may be asked to assist, similar to prayer, but a great part of it is the law of attraction, unlike prayer, which relies solely on the mercy of a higher power. Concerns for Ray's practices at his workshops were raised in 2000, 9 years before any deaths, and there were multiple injuries reported during this period of time. But even that did not deter him from continuing to push clients beyond their capabilities. He got them to perform tasks such as walking on glass or fire, board breaking with their bare hands, and pushing sharp objects like the point of an arrow into their skin. People were paying ridiculous amounts of money to attend events organised by this self-proclaimed guru. There were various stages to his path of spiritual enlightenment, and the highest was called Spiritual Warrior. This took place in a remote area of Arizona known as Angel Valley Retreat Center. Participants paid $10,000 for a place. They were sleep deprived and without food and water for 36 hours as a form of purification. And the last step to awareness was to enter this unconventional sweat lodge. It was in fact styled as a heat endurance test rather than a Native American type ceremony as had been advertised. The temporary fixture was built without permits or health and safety checks. The participants were not allowed to leave once they entered, and the temperature was raised and raised to what survivors described as unbearable. Even when some of the people signalled that they were feeling unwell, they were told they had to stay until the given time. Eventually the flaps were lifted and they were allowed to take a break, but it was too late for 3 of them. One man was already dead and another woman in a coma she never awoke from. As the horror unfolded, Ray fled the scene and did not help emergency services or assist police with their inquiries. When he was located, he said it was a terrible accident, but he had a similar scare before this and should have known better. It was clear he did not care and was not remorseful in the slightest. On a group call, he told survivors that those who had perished were having such a great time in their out-of-body experience that they didn't want to return. He was found guilty of negligent homicide, which carried a much lower sentence and only received 2 years prison time. The family sued him for wrongful death. Sweat lodges are part of Native American culture and spirituality, and this is a classic case of plagiarism for profit without any understanding or training on the part of Ray, which is part and parcel of the New Age culture really. After he got out, he continued his spiritual awareness work and continued to exploit those who were looking to fill a void in their lives. If the deaths were, as he once said in an interview, a learning curve for him, he did indeed learn nothing. Honestly, this kind of thing is better left alone. You will most certainly encounter a cunning, greedy, negative entity, but that entity is just as likely to be of the living, breathing variety.